slew. Now, James Lee is a candidate for governor of Illinois. You know, I thought it's the old man was the governor, running for governor. This says U.S. Land Office, the register. Now, I call him the old man that was met Flower and all that. Now, he was the U.S. Land Office register, but his son, Thomas Slew Jr., born 1790, was a candidate for governor, and I was saying that the old man was a candidate for governor in 1826, but it was Thomas Slew Jr. Okay, now I've got to look at the Slew. Yeah, there was we've got here, and this is from the State Historical Library, that Thomas Slew Jr. is shown as a member of the Senate, 1822-26, representing Hamilton County. And I've got in the Slew family history that said they have the 3 sons, though, and it's not under the Rowe family. That's that the old man Thomas Slew married Elizabeth Rowe, and they've got. They sent me all that around that family. But James C. Slew was a brother to the Albert Galton Slew. And Albert Galton was the one, he was so successful that he was, Albert Galton Slew married Isaac White and whatever that mother's name was, Sally Leach. See, and Isaac got killed in the Battle of Tippecanoe. Oh. And he had made so much money here at the Salt Well that they were building a fine home that was supposed to equal that of, who did I say the other day, up at Chester. That Pierre Menard home.
Oh.
It's a real fine one. And it was called White Hall. And all that money came from Equality Salt Mines. And because they had it started and did not have it finished. And all 3 of their children, wait a minute now. I'll get my slews all mixed up. But this Harriet Grandison was one of the daughters of Isaac, and the mother, I forget whether her name was Harriet. But anyway, it was Amy Leach's sister. And they had 3. They had Juliet, Harriet, and George. And I said George and Harriet went over to Cincinnati to take dancing lessons and fencing and all that real culture they were interested in, and building a fine home. And Whitehall up near Vincennes had an inner court, and it was real fancy. And it was there Elizabeth Taylor, in her time, I think, has seen Whitehall with Mrs. Witterholt. They went up to see, because that was their relative. All the Leaches, of course, are kin. And the John Marshall family here, the mother was a Leach. And anyway, Harriet Grandison White married, who were you asking about now?
James C.
No, I didn't really know James C. that much, but I'm telling about his brother being successful.
No, I see.
Albert Galton. And see, they're all naming them after the Albert Galton that they knew back in the Colwell family and the John Battleay, or whatever I called him, the register of the land office up there, and that first Albert Galton that was Secretary of Treasury under Thomas Jefferson. But Albert Galton Slough was the son of Thomas Slough, I think, here. And also James C. Slough was a son. And Albert Galton was riding a horse. Okay, these people from Equality, after the husband got killed in Tippecanoe, went to Whitehall and got it all finished. They had plenty of money, finished it in high style. And so then, while Albert Galton Slough was riding up to Vincennes, his horse stepped in a hole, and the horse broke its leg, and the rider also broke his leg. And he yelled and was carried to Whitehall. They heard him. He was that close. And fell in love with Harriet Grandison White. And he was he had a lot of grandiose plans. And evidently, of course, his father had run for governor, and he was in the Senate. I mean, they were well-educated and also ambitious people. So this Albert Galton he had something to do with carrying the mail, and he was going to build a line across to Mexico, across the Panama Canal, and he spent $1 million in getting it all lined up, but he lost some of that because the Mexican government, they're a bit shaky. I mean, they don't deal like we do. Yeah. But he was successful, and he was it was in carrying mail, or it was in that area. And James C. Slough then tried to get a corner on the lead mines at Galena. Is that right? Is that the one you're talking about?
Well, I don't know about that.
At Galena, and he lost money and had to be bailed out by this Albert Galton, his brother.
What I was thinking of was James C. Slough appears connected to the Branch Bank in Alton.
This is right. I've got the article, if I could put my hands on it. I just read it this morning that says that.
And I would just a question in mind, did any of the Sloughs move to the Alton area? Do you know whether any of them live there and there might be descendants there now? Don't know.
The only Sloughs, this, of course, is the only Sloughs, they're connected with the Leach family. And I have there's a Leach, and living today, I think the name has run out. I hate to say it. I hate to see names run out.
Yeah.
But I know this Juliet, the sister of Harriet over here, Salt Works. She married, and they had no children at all, Juliet. But George, George, I said that he didn't turn out so successfully because I think he drank or something. I hate to say that because I don't put it on. But I think he had a sawmill here, and he married well, marrying into the Fauntleroy home, that gal, Eliza, whatever her name was. But he married the Fauntleroy, and they had children, and they lived in Evansville, Indiana. One of them was a doctor. But wait, now we've got a White name here, not Slough. This is George White. That's George, and he's got an initial in there. George Leach White. Okay, that's right. That's White's.
And he married,
That was a
into the
brother-in-law to the Albert Galton slough. Okay, and they finally, see, they all moved towards Vincennes, and that George White moved out of Shawneetown, but he was in here a while, and did business, I'm sure, because I know he had a sawmill. And Fauntleroy, you can get the story on him up to Fauntleroy home, and he's got his picture hanging up in the Fauntleroy home in New Harmony, Indiana. But let's see if any of them are buried here. What was the name we're looking for now? Slough?
James C. was the one I was concerned with. He was
I know.
director in the bank.
No. Okay. I've got one slough buried in record of. This book is not really complete, but it's more complete than tramping around over
the
cemetery
itself.
trying to find something. In Buck Cemetery, we've got a son of James Slough. I think this is James C. Slough married Judith Castles.
Judith Castles.
And this is how James C. Slough got into the bank, because William Castles owned part of it. You look on this list. Right here. Okay. These are in 1849. 1845, the Bank of Illinois. 1838, the very first. O.C. Van Landingham, that Limo 6, part Limo 6, was to William Castles for $1,000. And so then the man died in 1849 because Robert Castles is an heir of William Castle. And he's selling to John Tunlin, it's administrator's deed. And he sells part of Limo 6. And James C. Slough, and it says husband of Judith Castle Slough, and it's 1850. And this John Tunnels sells to E.H. Ridgway, administrator of part Limo 6. And it's an administrator thing because they're just getting $91. And James C. Slough to Michael Kelly Lawler, and that's administration thing because Michael Kelly then turns around and sells it to somebody else there for $100, and it's all part of Limo 6, and that's the lot for the bank, Black Column Bank. And Joseph Castle and Castle heirs to attorney John Olney, and it was a power of attorney, and that was part of 1106-492. And John Olney is married into the Ridgway family. Look, that very last name there, someplace. John Olney.
Elizabeth married John Olney.
Okay, but he's an attorney here. I think he's got more to do than... We haven't got into the Ridgways. The Ridgway didn't get in the bank till 65. So these are all the people that are... The bank's still new here. Joseph Castle. So that's the son of that William Castle, and there's a Robert Castle, and Judith married James C. Slough. And John Olney to Jane Carter. And that struck me. I just copied this yesterday. I never saw Jane Carter's name before. She was new to me. There's a lot of Carters. I don't want to look at them in this. And her name probably wouldn't be. But they was part of 1106, and they paid $220 there. And
was that C.C. Van
Landing?
Van Landing.
Okay, we've got O.C. Van Landing.
O.C. That's probably the same one, yeah.
And he had that lot, part 1106, in 1838. And that's about the time they was digging the groundwork for the bank, or thinking about it.
Somewhere along
They were
there.
thinking about it, I'm sure.
Did the Van Landinghams marry into any of these families?
I don't think so, and I think I looked I don't think anybody's buried here, but there is one. so often they'll have a child, you know. They all had big families, and the children didn't live too long. And the surprising thing, the wives didn't live too long either. And most of the guys, and my husband doesn't agree, he said the women all live longer. And I said, in those days, when the men were, you know, a lot of exposure, I know it out on the farm, that seemed more wives died in childbirth and different things, you know. And so many of them had 3 wives. We're looking for Van Landingham. Here it is, Jane Van Landingham, and it's 1840 with a big question mark. They couldn't read it, and died in 1920 or something. So this would be a daughter, if that, or a son's wife. It doesn't say anything else, and she's buried in Ridgeway, northeast of Ridgeway, about a mile along. I know where it is, Ridgeway Township. And then I'll look to see what Van Landingham bought. While you're doing that, I'm going to run to the store, okay? You do that. And he wasn't here first. See, he got here and he bought into 1106, 1838. But I've got... I said I always bring everything. I'll be right back. Okay, don't hurry. I don't see anybody coming. Okay, I just might go on up to County. Okay. See, I know I bring a lot, but the book that I copied in land records, I did not bring that one.
Well.
You'll probably see me again.
On,
if it did help.
Wonder if we could skip to the next bank. That one, the 1835 bank, kind of phased out. And, let me ask this question. Do you know of any other people than those that I've listed here? These are the stockholders directors. There's a long list of state directors that are involved. But do you know of any of the officers of that 1835 bank that, other than John Marshall and John Siddell?
Okay. I'd only have to read about them because
on the 1853 bank now, I think we've pretty well proven that Governor Madison did not buy the bank or support it and put his son Goodell in. It seems that it was started by the Ridgeways and on down that line, and I don't know. Do you have any idea how Madison got involved in that?
Well, I don't.
I can't.
Because I'd have to. When I was writing my book, I was really reading a lot on the bank, but I had to condense it so. You know, every page I knew was going to cost me $10. You know, and so I read a lot about the bank, and I had to get. You know, to make a statement about something, you have to read an awful lot. But if I don't write it down or review it a lot, then I forget what I've read. But I'm sure that...
Okay. Let's see. Now, we have the cashier of that 1854 bank, actually, was Alfred B. Safford. Do you know Alfred B. Safford and how he relates to any of the families here?
No, I really thought he came from away from here.
Yes, he came from Joliet.
That's what I figured that he, I just don't know. I see that I have it down here as paying $11,500, is that right?
Yes, he bought the bank apparently probably for the new banking business, because then he sold it to the bank. And then he bought it back again, as a matter of fact. Okay, how about, now in 1854, the president of the bank was Joseph Bowles. Does that strike a bell here? I
suppose that's who Bowlesville was named for.
Oh.
Of course, I think Bowles was, of course, had been a landowner in coal. There was, because let's see, Bowles on 68. I'll just check this and see what it has on Bowles. Well, that's P.C. Bowles was 1837, but that was in Ridgeway.
Mm-hmm.
He has a building in Ridgeway, P.C. Bowles, but I don't think that's the one.
I see. Well, Joseph Bowles wasn't there very long. He was president for about a year and a half, and then William C. Wood took over as president.
I don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I'd have to research on that.
Uh-huh.
But on Bowlesville, I wrote here in my book that little of the early village remains except the hotel, which is in the process of being dismantled by the Peabody Coal Company, which has come to the area to again operate the mines that were first opened in 1854 by Joseph Bowles, Dr. Talbert, and Thomas Logston. So he opened the coal mines there. And little coal was mined in its earliest operation, but when the Civil War cut off coal supplies in Kentucky, the Bowlesville mines became an important source of coal for the federal gunboats. And coal brought high prices. Slack brought 10 cents a bushel, and lump coal sold for 25 cents. The shaft mines closed in 1885, but a slope mine opened by Mike Carney and B. Henshaw continued for a few years. And I got that on page 129 in County Gateway, Illinois.
Okay, so he was associated there.
Yes.
At any rate. Mm-hmm.
They had a village there, and they'd have brick row, log row, and box row. With their houses, box houses and log houses and things. And now everything's gone.
Is that right? Nothing
Right,
else?
it's all been strip mines.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
How about a W.E. Kiefer?
Well, that name I do not know, but I can see what we have here in the cemetery records. Keeper.
He was the assistant cashier, so he should have been in the area.
It's K-I-E.
No,
right?
well, I have
K-E-I.
K-E-E.
How?
K-E-E-F-E-R. W-E.
No. No.
Okay. Now, let's see. Getting lost in names here now. How about Albert Gallatin Caldwell? We've had an Albert Gallatin slough.
Okay. And I would say Albert Gallatin Colwell. Is that John Colwell? That was the, he was register of the land office. He married Sarah Baddeley, who's her father's best friend was Albert Gallatin, the Secretary of Treasury under Thomas Jefferson, because the John Colwell and Albert Gallatin came from Switzerland. They were boys. Went to school together in their home was, I think, Switzerland.
Okay. Now, let's see, we're up to the, I said Sanford came from Joliet. That's not necessarily true. So in 1865 was the incorporation of the last bank with Thomas S. Ridgway and John McKee people.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I've had. You didn't mention James Dunlap.
Well, I didn't. Now, was he in this area? He's listed as from Jacksonville in most of the...
I bet it was. That's why I didn't think it was. And William Thomas, trustee, 1853 to James Dunlap. That was the bank, $1,100. James Wire to Lloyd Posey. This was 1105. The bank finally owned 1105, the big lot behind them that went all the way down to the other street. And Lloyd Posey. That was one of the Posey brothers. There's 7 brothers, and I think Lloyd was a lawyer, and Alexander was the doctor, and Wag was, I think maybe he's a lawyer too, those brothers. But the William Posey lived down in Winchester, Kentucky, and the John Posey, why all these Poseys are over in Henderson, that was the very oldest son, and it wasn't Mary Alexander's. That was a stepson. That was the first wife of Thomas Posey, if you ever want to get into the Poseys. But anyway, I've got Lloyd Posey to James Dunlap $800. And that was just the next year or so. And James Dunlap to Safford, then he started, he was selling both lots, 1105 and the bank. Then they go their way a lot. They started having all those 1105, and they're the big lots too, and that's that 1105 and part of 1106. They've always got part of that 1106 gone. They got 25 feet off, and I don't know whether it's on the north side. I think it's on the north side, and somebody else has got part of that lot in there, because even in late years, they sold it. They'd sell it for $50. I think it's a little strip right outside of it. I don't know.
It must be because, the description yesterday that Mr. Sherman gave indicated that went all the way back to the alley. She said there was a garden behind the carriage house, So that would indicate that the strip was off to the north side.
So when James Dunlap in 1854 to Al B. Safford, he has 1105 and part, they always say part, 1106, because there's something off of that 1106 there. And I guess it's on the north side. It couldn't be over on the south, because they got the walk and on the east. And then the back, see, I don't know. It's either on the,
1105
and I call that west, and I call this north. Okay. Then in 1854, A.B. Stafford to the State Bank of Illinois, they say 1105, part 1106. And then 1861 is A.B. Safford to Thomas S. Ridgway, and it goes 1105, part 1106, and it's a warranty deed, and it says bank lot, $6,000. And that's
instead of the 6,500.
Yeah,
okay.
And I see it. And then 1894, Thomas Ridgway to Jane's wife, and it's 1105, part 1106, and it's a will. And they only filed it when he died in 1897. I might have said yesterday that I didn't know which one died, and I looked it up. Who was the president first? Was it John McKee or Thomas? But it was John McKee was president when he died. Then
in 1879.
79,
right.
And then Thomas Ridgway then was until his death, I guess, 1897. Okay. And then Jane, she had part of that 1105, so that's behind there, to Grace File McKernan. But that's the back lot, I call it, the one west. And then William Ridgway, that was the son. Remember, they had 5. I've got them down here, maybe. William Ridgway and others, to D.E. Fraley, and that was in 1913. And that was part of 1105. It didn't say. And then D.E. Fraley and wife to the National Bank of Shawneetown, 19 and 18. And it's all, and here it describes it. All of the in lot 1105. So they got that big lot, goes all the way back to the other street, and 79 feet off of the side of 1106. So side on 1106 describes it has to be on the north, because they wouldn't call the west side, they wouldn't call that the side, they'd call it the back almost, wouldn't they? Because here's the front door. So when they're saying part of 1106, 79 feet, except. $7,500 to the National Bank of Shawneetown. And then Harriet Hare, and this Harriet Hare, that's the mother of this gal Jane and Betty, those gals out in Berryville, Virginia. Barber. Said they had a big wedding because Hare married a barber in Chicago, and they were all well-to-do. They had a big hotel for the reception. But they'd all come back here and have their babies. Harriet and this Helen Allen. It was Helen Allen, Harriet Hare, Ida married a Wright, and then the others were the guys. Grant Ridgway, his mother was a Grant from Scotland, and William. Those are the 5 that lived. They had 12 children.
Oh my goodness.
Well, and see, I told you all the children died.
Now, these are the children of the Ridgways.
Thomas Ridgway.
Okay.
Thomas and Jane. And Jane was the doctor, and her dad got home in the wheelbarrow. They'd shoot me if I'd say that, because he'd stare off on that. But
now, when Thomas Ridgway died, who became president of the bank?
Oh, that's a good one. I think it would have been Raven. See, I don't know. The building went to him some way. No, partly moved by. D.E. Fraley.
Well, now, he didn't get it until 1913, you see. Jane owned it up until she died in 1911 or around then. And then the heirs and executors took them 2 years to take care of it, and then it went to Fraley.
You can find it in the Gallatin Democrat, because most of the time, the Gallatin Democrat will be on, they've got microfilm. The Gallatin Democrat, almost always they've got an edit there.
And it would cover that period, you think?
The Gallatin Democrat goes back that far.
Yeah, okay. Very good, because I run into a blank there when Mr. Ridgway died. I don't know who the officers were from that point on.
And newspapers are first sources, I would say, especially their ads.
Yeah.
They don't lie, it's real. You have to have truth in advertising. Harriet Hare to Fraley, I think that was just clearing up something, 1918. And did you know they changed National Bank of Shawneetown to First National Bank in Shawneetown in 1934. And then 1942, the Housing Authority to State of Illinois. That's when they got their foot in and have to take care of it. But the Housing Authority took the whole, they bought every home, bought everything here. All the churches and all the homes, I think. I'm not authority on that. I've got a whole story on that.
I've seen the plant layout with all those marks on it. I wonder on some of these people, like William D. File now, do you know anything about the Files?
Well, they're buried in Gallatin County, and the daughter just died in 1969. She's 103 years old.
Oh my goodness.
She would have been a real good source. She's in the nursing home, and she was in our historical society, and all the time I thought I was going over and talk to her, and I never did know her, File. 53 and 57. Here's Mary File, wife of William D. And she was born 1836 and died in 1862. And then it has outside of it Frances M., 1861 to 1901, evidently a son or a daughter. And then they're on another page. Anyway, this gal that lived 100 and she was William D.'s daughter, I think. And she died in 1969. I just looked at this last night, trying to find them, but I didn't write it down. Let's see. Now here's this William L. Colwell. You didn't ask for him, did you?
No, I haven't run into that name.
Wife Mary S. There's 1831. It could have been John and Sarah Baddeley's son.
I see.
William L. 1831 to 65, and his wife was Mary S. And she just died in 1907. Okay, now we're looking for file. William, here it is. W.M. No, you said D, didn't you?
Well,
Might be.
this was
18
taken,
and 38. Would that about match his wife's age?
was, being born in 1838?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. He was born in Stettin, Germany. And it doesn't give his death. So often they forget to put it on. And Myra, that's the one, she was born in 1867 and died in 1969. She was 102 years old. She was single.
Oh.
Myra. I don't know whether she's named after a Myra or not. But I don't know. I don't connect them.
Now, did we talk about a George A. Ridgway?
Oh, yes, because here he is. That's that son's written all about him.
George Alexander.
But he married Sarah Colwell. And I think the Colwells are as interesting as the Ridgways. But this Edwin Rowley Ridgway that's writing on the Ridgway family, he doesn't tell me about his grandmother. But George Alexander, George A. Ridgway, and his brother, well, I'm not sure. They had the store. I don't think Thomas Ridgway and George A. had the store together, but George Ridgway had a store with a man named Brothers. But I'm not real sure on that.
Okay.
But anyway, he was a merchant, and he married Sarah Colwell, and they had this Edwin Rowley Ridgway that you've got his address in Rempog Boulevard, Los Angeles, California. And he would be glad to try to send you anything on he'd know Sarah. I'm almost sure that I'm trying to think how old some of these people are. This Thomas Shannon was born 1826. Oh, this guy, I have another sheet on him. Here it is. Sure, here it is. He was born in 31 in Carmi. And he died in Washington, D.C. in 93. And he married Sarah Ellen Colwell of Shawneetown, who was born 1844 at Shawneetown and died 1914 at St. Clair County, Illinois. Somebody went up there, I'm not sure that George did. I think it'd be maybe there.
Now, Sarah Ellen Caldwell married who now?
George Alexander Ridgway.
Okay.
But we've got Sarah Caldwell marrying
Thomas Shannon, I believe you mentioned the name.
No.
I got confused.
Okay, it's John Caldwell married Sarah Baddeley. That's right. And now this one, it wouldn't be the same Sarah because this gal was born in 1844. So
I would say that she might be the granddaughter. That John Caldwell that came from overseas and came down here and was the first register felon. See, he is born in the 1700s. And there was a William Caldwell that might have been a son, and this might have been, anyway, Sarah Allen Caldwell married George Alexander Ridgway, and he was a merchant.
How about the county history has it listed as A.K. Lowe, L-O-W-E.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Alexander Kirkpatrick Lowe.
Right.
So there's named after the Kirkpatrick. I don't know that there were 10. Wait till I tell you. Alexander. Here's one Lowe. Albert S. Lowe. Now that's Alexander Kirkpatrick's son was Albert S. Lowe, born in 1853 and died in 1924. And his wife was Laura Tay, 1856, 1949. These people I knew. The Lowes had a store, and it's on the corner that it's got a little sign up here. It's where the landing comes off from where the levee, where the ferry boat was, where you come down. Where I said John Marshall's store is on the left here. There's this kitty corner. The Lowe's store was a big general merchandise store right opposite, and it's a sign out there now that said site of the first courthouse. But that's the Lowe corner. And the Lowes then had some beautiful homes. One is still there, George Lowe, and his brother's home is gone, but there's pictures of it in, I have it in my book, picture of that Lowe family home.
George Lowe was the son of Albert S.
Oh, no, I don't know. Here, Alexander Kirkpatrick Lowe built this imposing home in 1882 with definite French architecture styling. And the home is enclosed by an interesting iron fence. That's all that's left now. With a gate that graced the Gibson House in Cincinnati, Ohio. General Lafayette is said to have been received at this gate in 1825. All that's left now is this gate and this fence. Now the gate, that house was built 1882, and Lafayette was here in 1825, but it said the gate came from Cincinnati at the Gibson House, and it was brought here. But there's Alexander Kirkpatrick Lowe, and his son was Albert. I don't want to be quoted saying what King George was. I think that you kind of look at their birth dates, and George might be a brother to Albert. I don't know.
Okay. Well, that's pretty well run through my list that I have here. Getting the associations of these people together.
We've got that first Thomas Slough is buried in the Buck Cemetery. He was born in 1764 and died in 1829, and he was 65, and his consort was Elizabeth. And see, she was Elizabeth Roll, remember, and their son Thomas ran for governor. You've got your head filled with a lot of Shawneetown history. And
I have a tape bill. That's more important. My head doesn't keep it all.
I know, aren't these a lot of names on top of that? These are the early families, and you wouldn't be able to talk to anybody that knew any of them. I don't think. Because there's no descendants. You're only Elizabeth Taylor. Is he descendant of the John Marshalls?
Well, what, like with the James C. Posey, for example, I'm trying to find other locations like Alton or wherever. Now, we found
James C.
Chicago.
Sloop.
Sloop, yes, excuse me. So if I can locate people in other places, if I can get a group of them together as in Chicago, it may be worth a trip to there, you see.
You know, I don't know. The only sloughs, and did you know that they don't call them slough, they call them slow?
Slow.
And why I know that, I went to where I got all this history on the Slow family. Was the lawyer owns the farm of the White Hall that's going down. And so he calls me on the phone. He wants one of my books. That's why I have so many contacts. They all want my book, and do I know about this family? So that's why I built up all this. But he says it was pronounced slow. And so I read in some census records or something of a census taker usually spelled it like it sounded. And they spelled it S-L-O-W. Oh, I know, it's in probate records.
Oh, I see.
Probate records, and it'd be Michael Kelly Lawler was often, he was a lawyer as well as Civil War general. And he wasn't a very much kin to my husband. He came from Ireland, and my husband, all of our families came from Ireland. And really, that Michael Kelly Lawler spelled it S-L-O-W. And he was well educated. So I know they call him slow.
Yeah.
But English teacher would say a double O is pronounced do.
Yeah, you would think so.
But it was also Dutch.
Oh.
So they didn't pronounce it like they want to in Dutch. We're not going to tell them how to pronounce it in English.